It's the tremendously complicated philosophical issue, and I'd be happy to go through it. If you have a semester, we could sit down and hash it out.
You'll have to give me the Cliff Note version of it.
This is the best of the week on Relevant Radio.
Artificial intelligence. Let me just say it's here, right? It's not going away. It is part of your life. It's going to be part of your children's life and their life, and they're going to experience a world you and I probably could not even have imagined. And we talked about what the founder of AI had to say, one of the godfathers of it, and they worry about existential threats. We can see the benefits of it. We can also see the dangers of this if it's used improperly. I came across a story that I thought we could talk about. Father Philip Larrey is going to be stopping by in a minute. Let me just tell you, I'll give you a thumbnail of what went down. And let me paint a scene for you. Imagine this, right? You're attending a funeral, and that person that you love who passed away suddenly begins to speak to you directly, right? Not through a pre-recorded video, but in real time, responding to questions and sharing memories, right? That's not science fiction anymore. It's already happening. There's a woman named Marina Smith. She was a Holocaust educator, passed away in 2022, and she seemed to interact naturally with her family and her friends at her funeral. There's an AI-powered system that combines pre-recorded answers, cutting-edge intelligence, and it's not just that. I've seen this done for educational purposes. There are museums, there are educational institutions that use AI avatars to simulate conversations with, you can speak to Albert Einstein or Abraham Lincoln or Leonardo da Vinci or Joan of Arc. And this technology is only going to get better. Some of the most popular ones out there, Socrates, you can engage in philosophical dialogues based on his documents. They upload all this stuff into this AI. Abraham Lincoln talks about leadership and ethics. Joan of Arc talks about her visions and her faith and French history. And Nikola Tesla talks about innovation, electricity, futuristic ideas. That's what's happening now. So what are we seeing? We're seeing funeral homes now being able to use it. I don't know how you feel about that. If you go to a funeral, quite often you see a screen and all the still photos or video of loved ones go by, and you can reminisce with others that are mourning there about that. But imagine having some sort of ability to interact with your child that died, or your spouse, or your parent. I mean, companies like Apple and Google and Meta are already providing the tools to manage your digital life after you're gone. And Microsoft has taken it even a step further. They patented a system that uses your texts, your emails, your social media posts, and they can create a chat bot version of you. Can you believe that? In South Korea, a mother was reunited with her deceased daughter through virtual reality. So they're defining how we think about memory and grieving and how we live on. But I just wonder psychologically, what does it do to the person, right? What does it do mentally for somebody who's grieving, right? And I think psychologists are raising a lot of concern about that. Let's talk about this today with Father Philip Larrey. He's a professor of the practice in philosophy department at Boston College, and he's been thinking about AI a lot. I'm looking forward to really having an opportunity to dive into this with him. Father, welcome. It's good to have you with me today. Thanks for joining me.
Well, thanks for inviting me. It's an exciting argument or topic, and I'm glad to be a part of the discussion.
Personally, I'm very excited about what artificial intelligence can do and what it's going to provide. We talk about some significant inventions, the wheel, we had the Industrial Revolution, the printing press. Some of these things that really moved mankind along. AI is going to take us to all sorts of levels. Maybe let's start with the ethical considerations. They should be, of course, at the forefront when creating a digital version of someone. Explain this to me. What are they hoping to do? I know we can do this for educational purposes, but do you have any concerns about, creating your departed loved one in a way that you can interact with them?
Yeah. My father passed away a couple of years ago, and I had seen that Facebook was already offering this sort of like digital immortality. And even though, I was, like you said, I was grieving, and it hurt to see my father go, especially during COVID when he told me that I wouldn't be able to say the funeral because he died in Nebraska. I would have to done 30 days of quarantine, which the state of Nebraska was very, very strict because they were worried about getting more deaths. But it's not him. It wouldn't be him. It's an AI. And so, I understand your point where you say that people spoke with the woman in the funeral parlor.
Right.
No, they didn't. They spoke with an AI.
Right.
And it was probably convincing because they're going to use past information and then they're going to extrapolate on stuff. For example, what if somebody died before Donald Trump was elected president? Well,
Right.
that person isn't going to know who won the elections, but the AI will take care of that. So we have past information or past posts about the Democrats or the Republicans or whatever, and AI is probably going to put together a convincing line of discussion. But we have to remember that that's not the person. You're not talking and you're not interacting with the person. And maybe maybe I'm using this word, which is a little bit strong, but it's a lie. It's a lie.
Yeah.
The person is dead and we should grieve, and that's it, and hope for eternal life. That I think that's what real immortality is about, is the soul that continues in existence even though the body dies.
Then, of course, there's the faith, too. I know the Vatican has reminded us that, digital legacies, they have to respect human dignity. I know Islamic traditions are grappling with these technologies. Even Japan and Buddhist temples are offering digital graveyards. One of the questions that was raised as a result of that is, how do these innovations fit into our beliefs? But who manages these online accounts, too? I mean, what do you want preserved? What do you want deleted? And would you want to consider creating a digital version of myself? I don't think I want a digital version of myself. Some people might.
But what about your loved ones? Do they want that?
You see, that's the dangerous part of this, isn't it, Father? I mean, if say I died, my spouse was grieving deeply, and she would love just to go back, and because they've uploaded every video I had, all of my broadcasts and all of my writings and everything, she could say, "Hey, do you remember when we went to Maine? Do you remember when we got engaged?" And she could kind of relive this stuff. But I almost think it's a torment in some respects, because how do you move beyond your loss? Does this help you transition, or does this affect you psychologically?
Great point. Yeah. I totally agree with you. I think it hurts you in the long run. Look what happened to the young 14-year-old boy in Florida who killed himself after realizing his AI girlfriend was not real.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, his mother is suing. This was Character AI, which is an AI platform that came out in order to provide emotional relationships with other people. OpenAI has come up with some versions also of this. ChatGPT that can impersonates people that fall in love with you, and they get you to fall in love with them. I don't know if you saw the movie Her,
yes,
which was done by Spike Jones with Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson. Very convincing movie where Joaquin Phoenix falls in love with the voice of Scarlett Johansson. Now, obviously, the young boy had issues relating to other people, and his mother is suing Character AI, by the way, over this. But look, and I think the psychologists are on our side. Yeah. This is not conducive to well-being on a psychological level. I think this is hampering. And I just read an article in the New York Times today about a woman that has an AI boyfriend. And it goes into a lot of, did you see that?
No, I did not. That's bizarre.
Yeah, I get a feed from the New York Times, and they know I'm an AI geek, and so they give me all kinds of these stories. But I think it's one of the main titles of their online version today. You can go and look at it. And she goes into the ramifications and the psychological dimensions and those kinds of issues that we're all concerned about. And she's very aware, and she's very happy with her digital boyfriend. You mentioned Japan. Japan is using holographic images of beings with voices, and they hook them up to their smart houses so they can turn on the lights and put music on and start the microwave and things like that. So much so that about 3 years ago, a gentleman married his holograph. And he got an actual license from the state, which I don't think has any legal value. Yeah. But the Japanese are looking at this as a remedy for loneliness. That's and wild. It's not. I understand the point, and it seems to help in the short run, but in the long run, it hinders the psychological development of the human being.
My producer, Nick, looked up that article you were talking about, and He just sent me a message saying that there was a 20-year-old woman with a busy social life spending hours on end talking to her AI boyfriend, asking for advice and consolation. The bottom line is,
I'm sorry, I'm laughing.
You get into these relationships with ones and zeros, really. I mean, this is all digital.
Let me ask you the following question, which I got from Ray Kurzweil, who's a futurist and works for Google and has just put out the second edition of his book called The Singularity is Near. And this one, he's called it The Singularity is Nearer. And the singularity is the moment in which artificial intelligence weds with biological intelligence, and we get, I guess, what we're going to call cyborgs. Right. And he says, if you can't tell the difference, is there one? Huh. And this has given me a lot of food for thought. You know, if we're so interested in convincing ourselves that on the other end there's a real person, is that enough? You know, if you can't tell the difference, is there one? What are your thoughts on that?
I would say there is. It's really a perplexing question. It's a great one to dive into.
Yeah, I think it's very provocative.
Let's dive into that a little bit more because, you know, this whole concept of the singularity you just talked about, and maybe we can dive into that as well. It sounds like the stuff of science fiction, right? But the moment when artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence, when it begins to reshape the world that, Father, you and I live in, you know, some people will call that a technological utopia, and others say, hey, it might be dystopian, right? But but what's the truth? I mean, what's that mean for you and me, you know, in terms of what that future holds? I mean, AI, you know, the singularity is that point, as you point out, where AI doesn't just assist human beings, but will it get to a point where it outthinks us? You know, will we see a moment where, as the godfather of AI is warning, it could become an existential threat? Will humanity be able to merge with machines? I don't think we'll ever be able to upload our conscience. I don't know how you feel about that, but maybe you can unpack some of those things.
Well, it's the tremendously complicated philosophical issue, and I'd be happy to go through it. But I just remember I taught a course on this at Boston College. So if you have a semester, we could sit down and hash it out.
You'll have to give me the Cliff Note version of it. We only have 30 minutes.
The short answer is no. A lot of, well, not a lot, but some people in Google and Meta and OpenAI asked me about this. And I said, you cannot upload the soul. So you have to worry about the vocabulary, and they talk about consciousness, they talk about reasoning and things like that. And I try to distinguish right away what in human knowledge is based on the brain and what is abstract reasoning, which is not based on the brain. We'll call it non-physical. So we don't go into anything too deep, but there are aspects of human knowledge which are non-physical, which an AI cannot capture. But, for example, you mentioned memories. We know that memories are based in the brain because some people are injured in their brain and they lose part of their memory, so that we know that those memories are housed in a physical part of the brain. Now, we don't know individual molecules. I spoke to a brain scientist about this, and he says, oh, yeah, there are clusters of molecules that house different memories, and we can shut those down, like I think it's called sleep, making them go to sleep, and people lose those memories. And the U.S. government is working with people at MIT in order to help people with traumatic memories to come back from a theater of war. And DARPA is involved in this in this program as well. So we can definitely upload memories, and the software isn't quite there yet, but Elon Musk has Neuralink. He just a year ago came out with videos of helping a paraplegic. Did you see that?
I did.
He helped a paraplegic walk. So, you know, he's talking about the motor cortex, but little by little, it's going to, you know, get closer and closer to the central nervous system. And then we're going to map out the brain where we find long-term memory, short-term memory, et cetera. And once the technology gets better, we'll be able to do that. So that's not consciousness, though. That's not the soul. That's just part of the human psyche. And so it's good to distinguish what we can and what we cannot do.
So the soul, of course, animates everything, right? And you can't upload the soul. But if we could decode the neurological code, if you will, for memories, if it's electrons or it's some sort of imprint, some sort of signature, and be able to put that into a machine, could your memories live forever? Because everybody's memories change. Like if I was to talk to you about the first time we ever had a radio conversation 10 years from now, my memory is going to be different than your memory of that experience. Probably, I have this with my wife all the time, right? You're talking about something. No, that's not how it happened. But so it'd be kind of interesting to be able to preserve them. It'd be kind of cool.
Well, that happens even if you don't take into account the timeline.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Father, I'm so grateful for your time. I know you and I could probably talk for hours on this. I'd love to have you come back. Okay. I'm going to pray for you right now, though. Hey, like what you just heard? Then share it with your family and friends. And thanks for listening.